What's going on, folks? This is Acid Roots here. So we're going to do an episode, we're going to kick off the Super Mario World playthrough. Now, initially I tried to do this like 7 years ago. I kind of got a copyright flag, and so I don't know what was up with that. It was just kind of a strange thing about YouTube back in the day, but it kind of spooked me into not wanting to do it. But all these years later, I think it's more than fine, so I probably should have done this playthrough years ago, but I just didn't. So we're going to jump back into Super Mario World. Now, if you look hard enough on my YouTube channel, and I might actually throw the original episode in this playlist, but there was, like, a one from early 2016, and I'll just keep that kind of similar to how I did with Donkey Kong Country, but I'm going to basically be trying to play through this game and try to get all 96 exits. I mean, I was able to back in the day. Hopefully I'll still be able to. I'm just going to kind of give it a whirl and see what happens with it. But I am going to try to make this like a wholesome playthrough, because there's actually some stuff, like this is kind of a chatty game. These little blue message blocks, a lot of people when they play this game, they don't really focus on those, but I'm at least going to do that. I mean, I may not read you the text of what they say, but I'll at least leave the box open for a few seconds, just in case you truly are absolutely new to this game and don't know. I mean, most of these are just going to be like tips and like pointers, but I still like the concept of at least you not having to play the game, and, you know, because no one's going to really do this. For the most part, I'd say probably over 85-90% of people are not going to hit those message blocks. I just said, fuck it. We'll go ahead. If I see them, I'll hit them. I'm not going to try to look for every one. If they're in my way, I'll go for them and just briefly show them for a little bit so you know what the game is at least trying to showcase, because this is kind of a chatty game. Initially I thought it wasn't, but it does have some text to kind of say it. Mario 64 did that stuff too, so it's an extra bonus. But yeah, this is one of the best Super Nintendo games and video games ever. This is an outstanding game. It's consistently fun, and it's pretty much, it's either this one or Super Mario 3 that's the best in the original Mario series. And I would almost say I like Super Mario World more. I mean, I like the stage design. Well, actually, I like the stage designs in Super Mario World better. The gimmicks that they came up with these stages, like the enemies in the bubbles, and the forest stages, and Yoshi, and some of that type stuff, and like the climbing on the grates and punching them through the walls and that type stuff. There's just so many interesting kind of gimmicks that Nintendo specifically did for this game that just are so emphatic and overall fun. I didn't quite have as much fun with Super Mario 3, but the level design was probably, they just put more craftiness into it. It was more about the gimmicks in Super Mario World, but in Super Mario 3 is more about the stage design. I will admit that Nintendo had, both of these games are Mario at its apex, though. I mean, they just never could quite capture, at least in two-dimensional type format, they were never really able to capture, like, Mario this good again. And this is the way it kind of was, but I still feel like, this is a classic. I mean, at this stage it is. If you get a buddy, there's not too many more Super Nintendo games that can be better than playing this game. I mean, I would say Contra 3, if you're good enough, that's a nice one. And there's other ones like the Donkey Kong Country games, and like, not Gunstar Heroes is Sega, but, what's it called? Sunset Riders, some of those type games. But, this is definitely tour de force. So let's go unlock Yoshi. Let's go get Yoshi and let's see what he's about. Really, we've seen who this character was. There's apparently some being named Yoshi who's going to possibly help us out, but we don't know about it. But really the concept about it is the fact that I'm going to lose a life here. So I do lose a life in the second playable stage, or third if you count the other one. But really I wasn't expecting that, because the red enemies don't typically walk off the platform, but I guess they did that time. Normally they will walk to the edge and then walk back, but for some reason they decided not to do that, so I lost a life because I wanted the one up. So that's what you do. And this was like, yeah, these you get one-ups the more enemies you hit in a row, and I like that concept because the first Super Mario Brothers didn't do that. And really, I want to say the first one did, but you don't hear the little musical notes that indicate that you're doing good. So that's kind of the thing. So So yeah, this is Yoshi. He's a staple. You know, he's a popular character. Folks seem to like him. And in this particular game, he's here a lot because he's like a mantra of this game. I mean, he's even on the game cartridge that you see when you buy this game. It kind of, I mean, he was a big deal back in the day, but he's kind of lowered his emphasis. There's just never been as many games apart from Yoshi's Island that's really kind of had him with that level of emphasis again, which is too bad because this game, I really feel like there should have been a true Super Mario World 2. Like, there's ROM hacks. If you don't know what a ROM hack is, it's basically a custom-made video game where standard pleb individuals who have some game designer skills have made Mario games with these type game engines and stuff. And they actually turn out pretty well. Like, there's one in particular that's one of my favorite ROM hacks, which is Super Mario World The Lost Levels, which to me feels like the true Super Mario World 2 because it has this game's engine and it basically is like a brand new Super Mario World game. I mean, whoever did that one, I don't know the guy's name that did it, but whoever designed Super Mario World The Lost Levels was pretty much like a game-making genius in a lot of ways, just how crafty it was. And it had more stages. Like, this one has 96 exits, but I want to say that Super Mario World The Lost Levels had like probably over 100. I want to say that there was a lot of stages. I mean, the boss characters, obviously when you make ROM hacks, it's difficult to create new boss characters, but everything minus that was pretty crafty. Like the ghost house stages, there were some new tricks and kind of puzzles in those, and they were just all sorts of fun. But the only problem with recommending ROM hacks to folks like y'all is just the fact that Nintendo kind of hates them. That's why they made these Super Mario Maker games, because they want you to play those rather than, buy like mess with a free version of Mario that they don't endorse. It's kind of black market, but I'm telling you, these games are fucking fun. The ROM hacks are fun. It's just kind of one of those situations, but ultimately, I mean, it's not like Nintendo made the game, so you're not really taking money from them. That's just kind of the thing. So, yeah, this is a great game. I mean, that's kind of the concept about it. These stages, you'll see as they start to go along that they really have some positive emphasis and stuff. And, like, it seems kind of basic without the cape. Like, you're going to notice here pretty soon that this first world without the cape, this really feels like a kind of substandard version until we get that. These kind of just feel like the training wheel stages, it's just kind of odd, but I mean, I didn't notice this back when I first played this game years ago, but it's just kind of funny, to kind of say that. But there's just all sorts of tricks and deviances, but there's really not any secret stages in the first world. It's pretty straightforward. That's another thing that the first world does not do. It's just kind of like the demo package. So, but yeah, so yeah, if and that tape thing, that's the gateway to the end of the stage. Like one of the message blocks is going to say later on that the maximum that you can get is a 100, but that's really rare to do. I mean, it's very uncommon to see basically anyone in like YouTube on a Let's Play actually get to the 100. There is a bonus game, but 50 is pretty good. If you get 50, you should definitely pat yourself on the back. So I just would have to say, but yeah, Yoshi, I just decided to ditch him. Decided to ditch him because I'm not going to use him in every stage just because it gets a little bit too easy. So I mean, I'm not a positive complainer where I'm going to say, oh, I don't want it to be too easy, but it kind of is. So at least spruce it up a little bit. I mean, this game does get tough though. It's not a cakewalk. So I'm surprised that these cacti are fireproof. It doesn't make sense. You would think, I mean, I guess because a cactus can survive in the desert, it'd be prone to not heating up, but still. And that was stupid. I burnt the shell before I could even kick it anywhere. I don't think that's ever happened before. Let's go ahead and get this star, man. Yeah, it's really easy to get to 99 lives in this game, but that's okay because it's just supposed to be fun. That's the whole concept about it, so. Yeah, I want to say that there's 9 worlds in this game. I mean, I know we're gonna be in World 2 by the end of this episode. I mean, normally I would make this 15 minutes, but it's gonna be a little bit shorter, just because I didn't feel like, because really you can only save when you get to like ghost houses or castles or like switch palaces or things like that. So it's not just an automatic save points. That's kind of the thing there. So I'll probably do these world by world. I think I'm just going to do it by each save point that I get to, depending upon whether or not I have difficulty with it. I mean, they're just going to be in 15-minute segments. I don't know how many episodes this will wind up being, but we'll get to that as we cross it. So, we are at least going to fight one of the boss characters in this episode. So, and we're by the end of this, we'll be at 6. We'll have completed 6 worlds, and we've got 90 more to go. So it's kind of the thing. But yeah, I don't think what's been going on. I watched the news last night, kind of talking about stuff. Can't really think of what's been going on. I mean, yeah, there's like the Ukraine war and the World Cup and some of those things. They talked about the World Cup finals being on Sunday. There's a lot of hype about that. But the funny thing about it is I feel like the World Cup is kind of like most of the world's Super Bowl or something. Like the Super Bowl to the United States is kind of what the World Cup seems to be. Like, I swear I didn't notice this level of hype for the World Cup last year. Maybe it's not something, I don't even know if the World Cup shows up every year, if it's every 4 years. I have no clue. I mean, either way, I don't remember the World Cup being talked about like this in 2018 either. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I was watching the news like that 4 years ago, but just don't recall it. I'm kind of unsure if the World Cup is every 4 years. As of this moment, I'm not sure about that, but yeah. I just don't remember people talking about that sort of stuff like this last year. So, and you know, at the beginning of this year, people were kind of talking about the Winter Olympics too, but that's kind of come and gone. I'm surprised no one brings that up. You know, the thing about the Olympics is, you know, people talk about it for like the time when it's there, but you just don't hear people talk about it like 3 or 4 months later. Like the Summer Olympics usually takes place in like July or August. But you don't really hear people talk about the Olympics in like November or December that year, when it's really just been 3 or so months. It is you watch it and then it's boring, and it's just like, okay, you know, that we waited 4 years for this just to talk about it for those brief 2 or 3 weeks, and then that's it. It's kind of the thing. But yeah, that takes care of this episode. We'll get to World 2 next time, and I lost my save file, but we'll see what happens with it. Subscribe.